I'll share the screen with this flyer right now. Um, just to kind of give you all one of the things we want to talk a little bit about today. And I know we're going to still have people coming in, but the co-ops in this work with P3 and that team, we've really talked about ways that we can work together to support all of the principals that we serve. And I think this is a perfect example today. So many folks belong to more than one co-op. We're trying to work smarter and not harder and really look at how can we use our collective expertise and our reach to get to the most people with the most opportunities. And if you guys don't know, that's kind of been the switch that the counselors cadre has made in the last couple of years with the Department of Ed counseling person partnering with the 8 educational co-ops across the state to create what we call the statewide counseling cadre. And so 4 times a year, the counselors meet with each other virtually, or they can be in person at a co-op, but they're still receiving the content virtually. And it's allowed us to access expertise that we would probably not normally be able to get, maybe in Ashland, Kentucky, or I'll speak for KVEC in Hazard, Kentucky, because of the travel and or maybe the expense. So we really found this to be an awesome way. And it also is an equity issue because we know then that counselors across the state are getting access to the same content, the same level of presenter, and having a shared experience. So with that in mind, we've started to talk about how can we do that as co-ops for our principals and to support them in their work. So this flyer that you see here, we're going to have our first session on March the 20th. It's going to be virtual. It's for principals and assistant principals across the state. It's going to be from 9 to noon if you're Eastern time, which if you're on here, I'd say 99.9% of you are. But for our friends in the West, 8 to 11 Central time. And the idea is that today's session and the feedback that we are going to be able to access from P3 will help guide us in some thinking about what those topics might be. But very round table where people have an opportunity to get on and have a discussion around problems of practice or issues that they're experiencing or things that they want to learn more about or gain additional information about. So if you're a principal or an assistant principal, you'll be able to log into that space and have a conversation with other people that want to talk about that same topic. And we are working collaboratively on creating the agenda for the day. It's still in progress, but that gives you kind of the big picture idea on what's going to happen there. And I'll stop talking to see if anybody has any questions, or I will certainly say my colleague and friend Brandy may want to add to that too. She's been with me in all the conversations.
Yeah, it's going to be a great day. And, it like Letitia said, addition to today's work. So, Letitia, I'm going to stick the registration form in the chat. You guys saw it here first. It will come out again in different spaces, online and in your inbox. But if you want to go ahead and sign up for that now, Letitia has, the flyer and information shared, but then here is the form, the Google form and how to register for it. It's going to be a great day.
And it will be shared. And I am going to tell you, if you're in here in this room, I'm going to talk about my problems of practice. We have a list of principals that, given our membership, and I love that we have so many members, I often feel like I am behind on information. So if you know there's a new principal that isn't getting information from KEDC or any other co-op that you might belong to, email them and let the co-op know who the person is. Or I can't tell you how much I appreciate when people are like, I'm not getting your emails. Would you please add me to your list? Or let the new person know you should definitely email your co-op to make sure that you're getting all the information. And that honestly goes for anybody that's new in their role. We work hard to try to get information out, but we know that there's a lot of changes in districts. So we would appreciate any input from you guys about people that are serving in instructional supervisors, DAC, counselor, GT, principal, assistant principal, instructional coaches, any of those roles, especially if there's been a change. Any other questions about the 20th? And we'll come back to that as well. But just that's kind of the big thing we wanted to share with you guys today. And then I think, Brandy, we want to go through our questions and kind of get some feedback from folks.
Yeah, let's just use the chat at this time and just give us a little bit of feedback. We know you've done evaluations all day, but just as a group, a KEDC group, if you can put in a topic or something you learned today that you just want to have a little shout out to the people who put this on, the P3 folks, and just let them know what you really appreciated today. We'll just do a little waterfall. We'll give a few minutes for that, for reflection, and just put something in the chat that you really enjoyed that you're going to be taking away. Don't forget to glance at the chat and read each other's thoughts. This is our interactive discussion. We have some emojis that you can interact with each other's chat posts as well.
Or if you need to, just come off mute and say, this was so good and here's why.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm going to echo Abby. And I told Keith this in one of the rooms. I was like, my team could not stop texting about how calm, cool, and collected you were. And I said, I know you were not feeling that. He was like, I was so frustrated and worried it wasn't going to get fixed this morning. And I was like, oh, me too.
I am just wondering if there were many aspiring leaders here because not only do we have a teacher shortage, but I hear from a lot of districts that we're having like upcoming administrator shortages. So is there a way that we could reach out to them to encourage them to come, or is that something that the group like of the other participants would like, or do they need something else? Because I think, gosh, this would have been so nice for me to attend before I was ever an administrator. So informative.
That's a great point. And looking at everybody's feedback and Abby thinking about that point, EdCamp, the P3 EdCamp grid will be up and live, and the recordings will be on there to access for anyone who wants to take this to your team or share it with an aspiring leader or use it for a class or anything that you might need to use it for. It's Keith told us it's used in a variety of different ways. So yeah, log back on in a few days to the grid, and you will have the recordings from all the sessions that you can use until it's not there. And I mean, he hasn't taken last year's down yet, so I think it's going to be up there for a while. And in that form, the registration form, when you register for March 20th, we'll be asking if you have any sessions, any topics that you really want on that day to be able to attend on that schedule for the day. So we'd love your feedback with that. If you want to put in the chat, we're saving the chat as well to look at with our all of the co-ops as we plan this together. So you can either put in the Google form or in the chat, and we can make sure that your wishes are represented when we plan. What else do we have, Letitia? And she just stuck the registration in the chat again. So they're fresh. Gila
Good.
credit for today. If you've been,
Are you got it? Go ahead.
yeah. If you have been doing your evaluations, giving your feedback through that link on the grid, it's at the top of the grid and the bottom of the grid, then that's how they're counting your ELA credit. That's how they're going to send you either the 3-hour or the 6-hour from P3. Was there anything else to add to that, Letitia? So make sure you've got your feedback, your evaluation in.
Question about the March 20th format breakout rooms. That's the plan, Philip. I think there may be longer, maybe less topics, longer breakouts. And we've talked a little bit about, depending on what input we get from principals, do we want them to be uniquely grade level, uniquely region? So I think there might be, and there may be some of both. Like you might have a chance to go talk to other elementary principals or other high school principals, or you might have a chance to go talk to principals in your region. So we may try to do a little bit of both things there. Anything else from today, or anything anybody wants to just say right now, like, oh, let's definitely think about this for the 20th, or KEDC, here's something you need to be doing for principals. Brandy and I are working on some other in-person things too, and it's a little soon, might be a little soon to say much on those, but we are trying a lot to think about ways that we can be supportive of the principals. So feel free to reach out to either one of us if you have something that you think could be helpful for us in that planning. And I think that's everything. Look for the flyer with the registration, but go ahead and put March 20th on your calendar. If you will, 9 to 12 or 8 to 11 if you're on Central Time. We'd love to have all of you guys with us and look forward to seeing you then, if not sooner.